I love Coca-Cola. This is one of my most favorite things in the world. I love this shade of red. I love the white logo and that cursive writing. Not diet either. I need the real thing, original Coke. I love it. Wait, this is what I love the most about it. You ready for this? I love that sound. It makes me happy. It gets me excited because I'm about to drink my Coke. And then that first sip, it's full of sugar and carbonation. It gives you that little kick that you want. I love it. A Coke has the equivalent of 10 teaspoons of sugar in it, but in the form of high fructose corn syrup, which I also love. I know, it's not good for me. So why am I talking to you about Coke right now? Well, I tell you about Coke because we make decisions. The way we make decisions is based on our preferences, our emotions, and most importantly, we make decisions based on a couple of chemicals in our brain. Dopamine is the feel-good chemical. That's the chemical that is related to the reward system in the brain. And dopamine is the one that when I see like this little bit of red in the back of my fridge when I thought all the Cokes were out, I get a little hit of dopamine and it makes me happy. I feel pleasure, it feels good. And then when I hear that sound, I get a little rush of dopamine in my brain. It's the pleasure center of the brain. It makes us feel good. Then when I take that first swig, I get the big rush of dopamine that I was looking for when I first saw that color of red. So what is it for you? What gives you your dopamine rush when you're searching for that, when your brain is telling you that you need something? What is it for you? Is it hanging out with friends? Is it good food? Is it the smell of your mom's cookies? Maybe it's sex, dating. Maybe it's alcohol, drugs. They can get your dopamine system going, right? Maybe it's sports or music. Music is a great way and a healthy way to increase your dopamine. You get a hit of dopamine every time you listen to music. Social media is a way that increases our dopamine levels as well. We love social media, right? When we scroll, I love the dog videos and I love the comedian clips and the silly memes and the inspirational quotes. I love it. When I scroll, I get a little dopamine hit, right? When you watch TikTok, you scroll through that. When you get likes on your post, that's dopamine. And our brains are all a little addicted to dopamine. Why? Well, because we're human. It's just science. It's the human condition. There are a couple of chemicals in our brain, dopamine being one of them, that drive our behavior. So I start this way intentionally because I want you to know that time management isn't really time management. There's 24 hours in a day. Time is finite. You're not going to manufacture more time. You're never going to have less time than 24 hours. There's 24 hours, right? What you're really managing is yourself. You're managing your preferences, your emotions, and you're trying to manage those chemicals in your brain a little bit as well. So we need to talk about that before we jump in to time management. You decide how you're going to spend your time. And if you don't prepare and decide ahead of time, then someone else is going to decide for you, right? Or those chemicals in your brain are going to decide for you. When you get home from class at the end of the day and you're tired and you're worn out, your brain is going to be craving some things, right? And you're going to reach for that thing that does give you a surge in those feel-good chemicals in your brain. So in order to talk about time management, we have to talk about self-regulation first. So let's do that for just a couple of minutes. Most of the decisions we make, some of them we make logically, right? I have a test tomorrow, so I need to study today. That's a logical way to make a decision. But more often than not, our emotions are what predict how we're going to behave and the decisions we're going to make. Why is that? Again, we're humans. We're meant to feel emotions, not deny them. If you shove down your emotions, if you're sad or you're angry and you just shove it down and ignore it, it leaks out eventually anyway. But if you're aware of your emotions each day, then you can kind of plan for how those emotions are going to drive you. See, because humans, we all are competitive. Humans want to be liked. We're people pleasers. We're striving for success. We're perfectionists. Humans can be impulsive. And we're tempted by pleasure. You better believe that if I see a billboard with a Coke on it on the highway, I'm probably getting off at the next exit and buying a Coke because I am driven by that dopamine, by that emotion that I'm feeling. We're feeling creatures. We're meant to feel our emotions. So if you've struggled in life with managing your time, you're not a failure, you're a human being. And you're in good company because everybody in this room has struggled with managing their time or managing themselves well. So, what do we do about it? Well, if we can learn to manage ourselves, we will multiply our time. Stay with me here. So, what we do is just become aware of our emotions. This is the pre-work. Before we get to managing time, we have to do some pre-work here. The pre-work is, how do I feel today? So I'm just going to suggest to you that every day when you wake up, what do you do the first thing you wake up? Brush your teeth, maybe, hop in the shower, maybe you meditate or journal a little bit. Whatever you do when you first wake up, stack this habit of becoming aware of your emotions on top of that. And you're gonna ask yourself 4 questions. What am I sad about? What am I happy about? What am I angry about? And what am I stressed about? Happy, sad, angry, stressed. You're gonna ask yourself those 4 questions first thing in the morning. Become aware, okay? Or maybe second or third thing in the morning. Whatever you're doing sometime in the morning before you head out and start your day, become aware of how you're feeling. And I guarantee you that you're sad about something. You're angry at someone. You're stressed about something. And you definitely have something to be happy about or grateful for. Again, why? Because we're human. It's the human condition. It's science. We have emotions. And no emotions are bad emotions. Some are really uncomfortable, right? I don't like to be sad or stressed. I don't like to be angry. It's uncomfortable. But all emotions are good because they give you information. And the more information you have, the better you can use that information to make decisions on how you're going to spend your time. So you're going to ask yourself those 4 questions every single morning. If you're sad, you might be turning to dopamine real quick, right? You might be turning to some habit, right? What happens when you're in a room, in a social situation, you're really uncomfortable because you're not with anybody, your friends aren't with you, or they haven't shown up yet, they're late. Don't you pull out your phone for some comfort? Every time. I do it too. And what's that first app you open when you pull out your phone? Snapchat, TikTok, what is that first app that you look at when you're uncomfortable? You're looking for the hit of dopamine. That's probably your favorite app where you get that comfort from, whatever that first one is. You know, if I have a bad morning, if I'm already sad or angry or frustrated by 9 a.m. in the morning, what do you think I do? I grab a Coke, and a bag of barbecue chips goes really well with a Coke, and I love that too. And I drink a Coke and eat chips at 9 in the morning and maybe scroll some Instagram because that brings me comfort. Is there a healthier way to deal with my stress? Yeah, of course there is. But that chemical need for dopamine drives me to just grab the Coke. Okay, so every day when you wake up, sometime throughout the morning, become aware of how you're feeling. Sad, angry, happy, stressed. Be helpful to write it down. If you're a journaler, it'd be great to write it down. Or put a reminder on your phone to ask yourself those questions. All right, we've done the pre-work. We're becoming aware of our emotions. So let's jump into how we're going to manage time for our success. I have 3 steps for you to manage your time. Number 1, Know your values. Identify your values. What do you value in life? Friends, family, partying, fun? Do you value a lucrative career, money? Do you value graduate school? You value education? What is it that you value? Music, sports, the environment, diversity? Identify your values. Because before you can start to decide how to spend your time or decide how to behave in the world, who you want to be, you have to know what you value. See, when I was a young adult, I really, really valued family, and I still do. I value family, and I valued my faith, and I valued education. I love to learn. But if you had looked at my calendar, my planner, or my calendar, or if you had watched how I spent time in college, you would have thought I valued, in order, partying, boys, and my friends. Because that's how I behaved. I didn't know what I valued. Looking back, I know I valued my family, but it isn't how I behaved. So what do you value? Pick 3 or 4 things that you value and put them somewhere where you can see them every day. So you've gotten up in the morning, you know how you feel. On your wall, you have 3 things that you value, or 3 pictures on your bulletin board that you value, or a reminder in your phone. A person who knows their values will live by those values. Step 2, in time management. What's your vision for your life? You know what you value. What's your vision? What are some goals? This one is about goal setting. Can you set a couple of goals for yourself? You don't have to plan the rest of your life. You can just plan the next 3 months if you want. But if you don't have any goals, then you don't know where you're going. So set a couple of goals for yourself. Do you want to graduate in 3 years? Do you want to graduate in 5 years? Do you want to get into that nursing school, that grad school? Do you want to get right out of college and head into your career? What career is that? Or do you just want to get a summer job? That's okay too. You can just plan for the next couple of months. But have a couple goals for yourself so that you know where you're headed. Knowing your goals will lead you in the direction that you want to go. And then, even when you know your goals, you've got to give yourself a couple of ideas for how you're going to get there. It's not enough to just say, yeah, I want to graduate in 3 years. That's my goal. And poof, it'll happen by magic. It won't. You got to plan what classes you're going to take each semester. You got to plan to take a couple classes each summer so you can catch up and get ahead. So you need to know your goals, and you need to know how you're going to get there. And way more people who write down their goals achieve them than if you don't write them down. You have way more of a chance of achieving your goals if you write them down. Let me say one more thing about goals before I move on. When you set goals, you want your goals to be SMART goals. SMART goals. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So for example, if you want to get healthy, that's not really a specific enough goal. How do you want to get healthy? Do you want to work out? Do you want to eat better? Do you want to eat salads every day for lunch? Like, what is it that you're going to do to get healthy? You need a very specific goal. You're more likely to attain it when it's very specific. And secondly, it has to be measurable. You want to lose weight? Great goal. But how many pounds? 10 pounds, 5 pounds? You got to be specific, and your goal has to be measurable, right? If you were going to graduate in 3 years, that's great. 3 years is the measurement. But how many classes do you have to take each semester? 6? Each semester, 3 in the summer. You need some measurable goals. So make sure there's something you can measure to know how you're doing with your goal. Attainable and realistic. It shouldn't be something that you can't do, that you can't attain, right? If you're 5'5", a goal of playing in the NBA is probably not realistic for you, right? Your goal has to be attainable. Don't make it so big that you're just frustrated because you can't get there and you feel like you're so far away from it. Give yourself some short-term goals that are attainable and realistic. And then finally, put a timeline on your goals. By when do you want to lose those 10 pounds? By December? In a year? In 1 month? What's the time frame for your goal? Making your goals SMART will help you reach them. Step 3 to managing your time. Step 3 is to expect distractions, to anticipate obstacles, because it's going to happen, right? So we're going to expect drift, distraction, and procrastination. Why? Because we're human. And humans are driven by emotions and chemicals in the brain. And so you're going to be distracted. You're going to want to do something different. I want to drink water, but I reach for the Coke because it makes me feel good in the moment. And then about 10 minutes later, I feel sick. So we're going to expect these distractions and these emotions, right? We've done the work to get here to this point. We've checked in on our feelings, how we're doing every day, our emotions. We have identified our values, we've set our goals, and we have a couple steps to getting to those goals. Now we're going to expect distraction. And I'm going to tell you the number one way to deal with distraction and procrastination, and that is to know what your optimal time of day is. We'll call this your green zone. Everybody has an optimal time of day. It's about 3 to 5 hours. It's not 8 hours. I wish it was. Your optimal time of day is when you are most productive, you feel most passionate, you can do your deepest thinking, you can do your deepest, most difficult work. You want to schedule some good studying and writing and researching during your green zone, your optimal time of day. Because it's the best way to reduce procrastination or drift or distraction. My best time of day is in the morning. I'm a morning person. I haven't always been, but I'm a morning person now. My optimal time of day is between about 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. And I do my deepest, most difficult work during that time. That's the time when you're just in the zone. You're just working and it's good. It feels good. We all have a red zone as well. That time of day where we hit a wall. We're tired. We want to reach for whatever it is that brings us happiness or pleasure. You need to schedule that. If you know when your red zone is, mine is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I hit a wall and I leave work. I go home and I walk my dogs. I might take a little nap, do a little meditation, maybe scroll Instagram a little bit. I just relax. What do you need to do to renew and refresh yourself every single day? Because you do need something. You have a red zone. Right? This is energy management. This isn't even time management. This is energy management, but that's how we can manage ourselves and make the most of our time. Manage your energy. You have a green zone and a red zone. Everything else kind of falls into what I'd call the yellow zone. Checking emails, chatting with friends, maybe exercising. You can kind of put everything else into the yellow zone, but make sure you carefully plan your optimal time of day and your red zone. The final step to managing your time is the easy one. We've done the work. Again, we've checked in on how we feel. We've identified our values. We have a couple of goals, and we know how we're going to get to those goals. And we know how we're going to avoid drift and distraction. The last step is just to start time blocking. Bring all that together, open up an Excel spreadsheet or your Google Calendar or iCal and start time blocking. Put in your calendar all the obligations you have. I would assume your classes would go in first. Sports practice, other obligations, dance practice, band, work. If you have a job, you can put all those into your calendar. And then if you've identified your green zone, you want to put that in your calendar. That's when you're going to do your deepest studying, right? Put that in the calendar and make sure you schedule time for your red zone as well. When do you need a rest? What time of day is that usually for you? Is it different every day or is it the same every day? Start to pay attention to that. Not all hours of the day are equal. So you want to schedule time based on how you know you're going to feel at various times of the day. So start paying attention to that. This spreadsheet or Google Calendar or whatever you're using to time block, you can put colors into it or you can keep it black and white. That's your preference. But this is a tool. Like any other tool, you have to use it for it to work. So you have to Post it somewhere. Put it above your desk. Look at it every day. Work on it every Sunday night. Spend 20 minutes planning out your week. What does this week look like? What exams do I have? What projects do I have that are due? What group work do I have that we need to get together on? You got to use the tool if it's going to work for you. Okay, so you know how you feel. You've identified your values. You've got a couple goals. And you're starting to put all this together into a calendar or a spreadsheet. You're time blocking. This is great. People that time block, people that go through this exercise, achieve their goals sooner and more successfully than others who don't. You're going to be glad that you did this. Sometimes when I'm really overwhelmed at work, I'm stressed, I have a ton of things on my to-do list, I sit at my desk and I'm just paralyzed, like, I'm so busy. What do I do first? And I'll take out my spreadsheet and I'll look at it and I'll say, oh, it's 3 o'clock. That's the time I rest. So I go take my rest. I go renew. Or, oh, it's 9 o'clock. That's my deep work time. I got to get to work on this project. So use it. Use your ideal week. Look at it. Use it to help you make decisions. When you manage your time well, when you manage your energy well, when you manage your emotions well, you will have better relationships. You will have less stress. You will sleep better. You will achieve those goals. You know, a few years ago, my brother passed away. I have an older brother. He was a great guy. He was really fun. But he had severe mental illness, and he treated that with alcohol. So he was an alcoholic as well. And if you've been around anybody with severe depression or anxiety, or anyone with alcoholism, then you know that it can be very difficult. They're not themselves. It's really difficult to love someone in those circumstances. And so you have to have a boundary, right? And I had a huge boundary between me and my brother the last few years of his life because he wasn't well, and I needed to protect myself. And that's the right thing to do, but my boundary was huge. I didn't talk to him. I didn't call him. We didn't text. I didn't ever want to see him. And I really value love, right? I value family and love. Most of us do. And I thought that that was the right thing to do at the time. And after he passed away, I was reading about a definition of love that I'd never seen before. You know, love is, you always hear like love's a verb and it's action. You got to really work at love, and that's true. But this definition of love said, showing someone their value. Love is showing someone their value. It's so simple. I could have been showing my brother his value and kept a good boundary. What if I had just put that in my calendar on a Sunday night? Write a letter to Doug. Write him a letter. That doesn't invade my boundary, right? Send him a text. Give him a call twice a year. Something. I wish that I had identified that value more specifically, and I wished I'd made a plan for how I was going to love my brother. I didn't, and it'll be the greatest regret of my life. So I just want to encourage you all to know your values, set some goals, and time block, even your relationships. Yes, your schoolwork and work and all these other things you have to do. Yes, time block all those, but time block your relationships too. If you start really living by your values and through this kind of scheduling, you'll be making better decisions and you will have fewer regrets.